I would like to welcome in NewsNation national security contributor Tracy Walder. Tracy, great to see you. We're talking about a former Olympian who's accused of ordering multiple murders. A lot happening here. What stands out to you the most right now?
Well, thank you so much for having me, Nichole. I think the biggest thing that stands out to me is it is a very big deal that he has been moved to the FBI's most wanted list. This is actually a great thing in terms of law enforcement collaboration because we need international help, obviously, in regards to this. Also, the amount of the reward, $10 million is actually going to entice people. It may not entice the Sinaloa cartel, which I do believe is hiding him. However, it may entice other people that see him around that area in Mexico. So I'm very glad that he has been moved to this list. I do think it's going to help in terms of locating him.
So, Tracy, let's talk about that. He is now on this 10 most wanted list. What does it mean? How does that impact the resources, the effort into finding him?
So in a case like this, where you have multiple international countries, right? We have Canada, we have possibly Colombia, which is where some of the shipments of the cocaine that he was trafficking came from. We have Mexico, and then we also have the United States. So that's 4 different countries. That can get very complex. And when you have something like this, it increases international cooperation, mostly from Interpol, who then liaises with our legal attaché offices in those countries. Also, it really provides more in terms of FBI capabilities. They become much more focused on this. And in terms of digital capabilities, that is going to increase. So this is, in a complex case like this is very beneficial.
So you mentioned the fact that the U.S. is authorizing this reward of up to $10 million for information leading to his capture or his conviction. That is a lot of money. How out of the ordinary is it to see that amount of reward money, $10 million?
So you are absolutely right, Nichole. This is very extraordinary. I mean, if we think about individuals who have had, I guess, that amount placed on them, we're looking at people like Osama bin Laden. His was increased obviously later, but that's initially what it started at. So to just give people kind of a level of how serious this is and the amount of money that they are placing on the hopeful arrest on Mr. Wedding is quite fantastic, quite frankly.
So authorities, as I said at the top, they believe he is currently in Mexico, although, he could be in the U.S., he could be in another Latin American country, he could be in his home country of Canada. If he is in Mexico, how difficult could it be to get him back in the U.S.?
So we do have an extradition treaty with Mexico, and generally they are pretty good about honoring it. The one thing that they will always ask is that we take the death penalty off of the table because they don't have it. So I do suspect that if he is captured there, that will come off the table. The one concern I have that I do think is going to make it very, very difficult to find him is that I really do believe that he is being hidden by the Sinaloa cartel. He works with them, he works for them, he's a huge contributor to them. And the Sinaloa cartel really runs most of those tunnels in that portion of Mexico. This is where El Chapo is from, as well as his son. So they have a very large amount of resources also within law enforcement in Mexico. They have made, unfortunately, inroads in there. It is going to be very difficult to find him. However, they did find basically his second in command, and he was returned to the U.S. So I'm somewhat hopeful.
Well, and that's my last question, and it has to do with his second in command, Andrew Clark. As you mentioned there, he was just recently extradited to the U.S. He was in Mexico. Tracy, what is likely next for him, that second in command, Andrew Clark, and how could he potentially impact what happens to Ryan Wedding?
So I think you are spot on with that assessment. I think they're obviously here in the US very glad to have him, quite frankly, in Los Angeles. My hope is that maybe to cut some kind of a deal, obviously not a massive deal. He is not going free. He's going to spend a lot of time in prison. Perhaps he can give them some locational information. The only problem with that is I suspect that Mr. Wedding is probably long gone from his last known location that Mr. Clark knew about.
Thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find News Nation on your screen. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.